Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this week's update on festival events in terms of our public health COVID assessment. Great for you to join us this week. Just to remind people of the purpose of these blogs, it's to help event organisers and festival organisers to look at the current public health rates that we are considering in terms of the ability for events to continue or events to take place during the summer of 2021. And we're using a series of key indicators from a public health point of view that looks at issues in terms of prevalence rates within our communities, areas where we've got particular focus in terms of high levels of concerns, particularly in the top 9 categories. Any impact on our hospitals, our vaccinations, and if there's anything emerging which we ought to be highlighting. Delighted as always to be joined by Gemma from Public Health. Good to see you, Gemma.
Afternoon.
And I'm going to just hand over to you to share some of the data that we've got for this week.
Sure, so I'll just share my screen now. Okay, should be able to see that. Okay, so as usual, I'll just run through the rolling rates per 100,000 population for each district and borough. So the graph here is showing each district and borough coming as a different colour. And then the blue dotted line is showing the Warwickshire average. So if I just come across to the furthest to the right, so this is sort of the date that is coming in at. That was the 30th of April. So we're looking here, we've got North Warwickshire at 15 per 100,000, Nuneaton and Bedworth at 43 per 100,000. So that's the highest at the moment across the county. Rugby did have a little increase before, but has now come down to about 35 per 100,000. Then Stratford district and Warwick district coming in 13, 14, so quite low down there, same as North Warwickshire is quite low as well at 15. And the average altogether is about 24 per 100,000. So still looking at numbers under our concerning sort of point of, for Warwickshire, that'll be 50 per 100,000, so we're quite under that. And then the 75 per 100,000 indicator for each district and borough, we're well under that. I think it's just worth kind of pointing out, obviously we know Nuneaton and Bedworth and Rugby here have had little peaks and then decreases again, and I think mainly linked in Rugby to sort of workplace outbreaks and things like that, and then trying to get back on top of those. And then Nuneaton and Bedworth, I know we've had a cluster of outbreaks in a few schools in Nuneaton and Bedworth borough, so that explains the kind of the peaks and then coming down again. And as I say, because the numbers are generally low and are generally good, each kind of small increase has quite a large visual increase on the rolling rates per 100,000 population. So just good to bear that in mind. And then another indicator we always touch on, and if this keeps going in the same way, be really pleased, cases in the age 60 plus. So still really low cases in people age 60 and over, 7-day average of 1 positive case there. So really good. And then I will just touch briefly on vaccinations. So last week, I think I said the second dose, so the amount of people in Warwickshire who'd had their second dose of COVID vaccination was about 26%, so just over a quarter. And this week we're at 32%, so nearly a third of the Warwickshire population. So it's really good news, and everything just continues to increase and as we go along, so that's really beneficial. And I shall stop sharing my screen.
It's really encouraging news, Gemma. Thank you. And I think those little blips you were talking about, I think that's probably something we'll kind of expect to see, isn't it, over the coming weeks. I don't think it's anything we're concerned or alarmed about, because those little changes aren't materializing into a bigger significant increase. So that's just good news, and good news for event and festival organisers. As you can see from the graphs, we're not seeing any further pressure on our NHS staff or our ICUs. We're right back to a normal capacity at the moment, and that's really encouraging news for all of us. We often talk about issues around new variants. I think the comment we would make is these variants and these changing variants are something we will probably become quite a common conversation. We're not seeing any of those variants translate into particular issues or concerns in terms of the vaccination at the moment. And I think for these blogs, we will probably just highlight if there's any particular concerns that come out from those variants in terms of being more prevalent in the community and impacting on some of those levels. But from a variant point of view, there's nothing that's come that we're dealing with at the moment which we would have concerns over in terms of our population. I think that's fair to say, Gemma, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's just worth mentioning. I think the pattern of variants within Warwickshire is very similar to the rest of the country. Yes, they're here, and yes, they do emerge, and we just want to keep an eye on them to ensure that the vaccine is still working as those variants come about. But yeah, it's there's nothing that is alarming at the moment in Warwickshire.
Good to hear. So just in summary, if you were planning an event or festival in the coming weeks, we'd certainly say between now and late May, we wouldn't really have any major issues. We're keeping an eye on what's going on within the northern parts of the county, but there's nothing that's bringing us any concerns at the moment. We'd be very much supporting your events. So we hope that's helpful, and we look forward to catching up with you all again next week. Take care.
Thank you.